RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Thursday night live stream, a Merry Christmas stream. Excited to be back for another live stream. Hope everyone's doing well. And looks like the stimulus is still on pause as of now due to the stalemate in DC on the agreement on making those changes to that stimulus bill or not. So we're going to talk about that as well as whatever else is on your mind. So hope everyone's doing well. Let me give it a second before I check in via chat. Love to find out if we have any new viewers out there. Let me know where you're watching from. We'd love to acknowledge your presence. And then we'll dive right into a couple articles here. And then basically get your thoughts on how much you think is actually going to be sent out. And of course, according to the IRS here, that's a little bit short-staffed. We're going to see if they're able to actually deliver when it's time to get those things out there. But time will tell. So we got S400. We got Dr. DD Prepper in the building. We got Barlight Broker. All right. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. JBW. We got King D. What else we got going on here? And so it looks like YouTube might be late towards notifying people, which is to be expected. I'm expecting a lot more of that as we head into the new year. But we got Mike Scott from Corpus Christi in the building. Will Smith. All right. Fair amount of people here tuning in. I appreciate you guys for hanging out. And of course, there's more stories worthy that one person can't touch by themselves. So feel free to let me know what came across your radar today or over the last 2 days, and we can definitely touch on that. And so Monkey King, what we got here? Some emojis there. I wasn't expecting one either. Glad to be here. Barley, appreciate you, man. So yeah, so I came across an article. I thought I would just basically start off this live stream with this article here. And it's basically, it's the IRS. They're ready to distribute. They're ready to deliver. The question is, they don't know how much to deliver. And so as I was thumbing through this article here, it basically, some of the IRS directors or whatnot are basically sharing information as to how that this next go round, whenever the signature is signed and whenever the final tally is given as to how much the American people will receive, they're a lot better equipped to be able to do that, despite the pandemic and despite having a lot of their employees working from home. It looks like they are confident that they can get these checks out in a timely manner. And then looking through this little article here, it gives an ideal time frame as to which all the disbursement of whatever relief or whatever aid that's being given to the people has to be out and in the possession of the people by January 15th or whatnot. And so I'm assuming that this bill does pass. Part of that whole distribution is to have it out before the next administration comes into play or whatnot. So not quite sure how and what that's all about, but we can dive into that in a minute. And let me see here. It says, man, YouTube on my computer suck. Not even a thumbs up emoji. Glad to be here. William, appreciate you, my friend. Let me see here. I'll be happy if they sent me 5 Bitcoin or 100,000 XRP. Yeah, so XRP, of course, everyone is the SEC is filing a suit against the Ripple organization. And so that's taken a little bit of a dive. And so I'm not sure if it's just something to scare out a few people in the crypto sector to make position for the whales that probably want in on the game or whatnot. But it looks like a lot of those security style tokens have also taken a dip. And so I'd imagine it's more so intended to cause a little bit of a shakeup from some of the heavy hands so that institutions as well as some other individuals can get in on the cheaper side of things. So wouldn't pay much interest to it. I know it's going to be back up just because all of these tokens and coins, despite our personal opinions or viewpoints on them, they've been around for a while. And some of them have some very serious use cases that can be disruptive towards this current financial model. And I think that if they've been around, if they've been tested through some of these bear markets prior to, then they're probably strong enough to stick around for this next rally that's going to be underway, definitely in 2021. All right, what else we got going on? So as always, feel free to ask any questions or whatnot, share some thoughts in the comment section. And then we're going to dive through a couple articles here. I want to get your thoughts on it, share my 2 cents. And then I'll open up the phone lines and we can go from there. So as Renee Montenegro says, Trump 2024, he wants $2,000 for each person. Okay, so here's something else worth talking about as well. And I'll get into this article more in a second. And so as I'm watching more mainstream news sources give their assessment on this upcoming administration turnover. Of course, the mainstream media is sold on the fact that Biden will be in on January 20th, regardless of all the things that Trump, still out there tweeting, fraud, this, fraud, that, and election this, we won, Trump won, all that stuff he's tweeting until we see evidence that shows other words, or he actually does something about it. Then, as of right now, it's looking like Biden might be in there. Okay, sure. But as a result of all that, even the mainstream narrative now is that, Trump is basically just trying to pardon as many people as he can, strengthen his fan base so that in 2024, between now and then, he's going to have, a much stronger platform to speak from. And he'll also have more of the public's eye on him, given the fact that his voice currently and in the next 4 years will retain its strength to where he'll be the voice of the Republican Party still, even not in politics, making it a very likelihood that he'll be the number one preferred candidate for president from the Republican side in 2024. And the problem I have with that is that the people who are saying that he'll give in, he'll let it go, he'll come back in 2024 stronger, are the same people that have already denied the current electoral process for the presidency in of itself, and how, based upon the results we're getting from this current presidential election with the swing states, the ballots, and all that other stuff, the system itself is not even sustainable or not even in a position to have any credibility whatsoever come 2024, to where the American people wouldn't even fall for another election, given the things we're witnessing now. And so I think those people are speaking too far ahead, because A, it's not over with now, but then looking ahead to the future is kind of pointless, given the fact that between now and the next 4 years, I don't think this country, even the political structure, will even look the same. And I would imagine, and based upon what I believe that the orchestrators of this entire shift is trying to put before us, if you just look at that Songbird movie that we talked about last week, and how they already have an agenda of this COVID situation mutating every single year. And if we even get to 2024, it's good to say that based upon that movie, God forbid it gets to that point, but we'll be in a complete situation of martial law, to where the Constitution would have been suspended and the electoral process, election process, all that stuff would have probably been canceled or somehow, rearranged to suit their interests, and not actually getting somebody back into the presidency or a new voice whatsoever. So, yeah, but anyway, those 2024 people are just, they're just out there. Those are the deniers of the current fraudulent election that we're currently experiencing now. So don't pay much attention, but it's just interesting how people have already jumped to the 2024 time frame. What else we got here in the chat? Let me see. Crypto makes banks irrelevant. America's no doubt 100%. That is a case, but yet I think between now and probably next summer, next fall, when more regulation is rolled out to lay more of either a foundation for crypto adoption, or some type of regulation to try to disrupt the momentum. Because as of right now, with all the mainstream attention, especially from the big whales of Bitcoin holders, they're pumping up the crypto sector something fierce at a much faster pace. And I think the federal government and the Fed, as well as the Treasury, are wanting to actually have to deal with, because it disrupts their plans on trying to throw out some universal basic income type programs, as well as possibly slowing down or derailing their attempt to have a centrally controlled central bank digital currency that will be ushered in through the Treasury or the Fed merger, once Yellen and Jerome Powell partner up to form that new style of governance to our monetary system. So I'd imagine it's going to be some tougher regulations coming, because they have to slow down the momentum in the crypto space. Therefore, we can expect some more dips, or the market might ignore all that and just rally beyond what they can even control themselves. But we'll see. So King D says, Gammon George. So yeah, I saw that George put out a China CBD video on $1. And that's one of the things where George does a great job going very in depth into his analysis on the current monetary system or monetary shift. But, I haven't got a chance to look at it yet. But just knowing the ultimate agenda. And the Federal Reserve note, as we've known it as a reserve currency, is not sustainable for much longer, given the fact that all the governments have weaponized their currency. So how, who, what, where, when takes over, who knows? But for all of us, it's about preserving what you've already accumulated and what you've worked for, and having things not necessarily associated with the system directly in the form of metals, as well as cryptos for those that have that, as well as any other form of asset that's not correlated with this current financial paradigm that only seems to go up on bad news these days. And so Solo says silver is up right now and almost 26 an ounce. That's definitely good news there. Sleepy Joe, no energy, looks weak as all. Okay, so let me get into this article here, man, and then I'll open the phone lines and we can talk some more. But anyway, article here caught my attention because it talks about the IRS. And as I was thumbing through this article here, I pulled out some things that caught my attention. And, I think everybody kind of knows that as of now, this is before Trump decided to, stand up to the left and their agenda of throwing all types of pork and all types of government aid and assistance to all those nations in there. And so as of now, if Trump had signed and sealed and delivered the deal, it's as of, next week, the beginning of the week, the 28th, those checks will probably start appearing in people's accounts via the IRS and the Treasury collaboration. But as of right now, because Trump has not signed anything, and of course, today it looks like the bill was brought before the House, and it looks like the Democrats were on board, excited to just, give that $2,000 per person, but yet there was no compromise on them wanting to remove any of that stuff they tried to cram in there. And so the Republicans are the ones that actually rejected the $2,000 a month. And then the Democrats rejected the idea of trying to remove all of that extra stuff in there. So basically, as the title says here, we're at a stalemate. Like the stimulus stalemate is currently right now. And at this current rate, barring some type of one of the sides giving in, it's good to say that there will probably not be a check officially, whether it's 600 or 2,000, because neither sides are probably willing to give up on their stance. And it's unfortunate that it looks like, according to what I'm reading, is that the Republican Party is starting to pull away from President Trump. And so he's getting a chance to see who's on his side and who's not. And this plays into more of that political warfare that's taking place in DC, because I think those same Republicans that refuse to acknowledge the need for 2,000 per citizen are the same Republicans that have probably been compromised. You can tell who's been compromised when they themselves are turning their backs on the president, who has pretty much helped save their jobs over the last couple terms. But anyway, here it just talks about IRS employees are prepared to work diligently through the upcoming holidays to ensure stimulus payments are delivered as expeditiously and effectively as possible. And then it said the bills give the administration until January 15th to disperse the payments. And if they are not direct deposited or mailed by then, individuals will have to wait until they file their 2020 tax returns to get their money. And so that January 15th time frame is all subject to there being something signed and delivered approximately probably by next week. And so if it's not provided by January 15th, then we will not be able to get any type of stimulus or aid or bailout or whatever you want to call it until the official tax season time frame. So, and then it also talks about how, due to the IRS working from home, working remotely, they're going to have some issues on even taking care of people who filed taxes in 2019. So they're still trying to get caught up on that because they're still not done with that stuff yet. So it's turned out to be very interesting, man. To this the stalemate situation here is serious. Where isn't it interesting how it looks like when it came to the $600 per person amount, Twitter was just going crazy with people not excited, not very upset, very pissed off, but yet you up it 1,400, and people are on Twitter right now excited, looking forward to getting that 2,000. And of course, as of right now, it's all subject to Trump and as well as the Republican Party. And of course, it looked like today President Trump was out golfing in Florida, so he's not too pressed, I don't think so. But anyway, enough rant, man. What do you guys think about this? 600 or 2,000 or nothing in between? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat or feel free to give me a call. I'm curious to hear what you guys think about this matter. And I also got a couple other articles we can touch on as well. But want to open up the floor a little bit and hear from you guys. Feel free to give me a call. And in the meantime, I can share some of these other articles here. Let me open this up here. 600, 2,000 or nothing. So we got King D says nothing for no one. Barlight Broker says nothing. Are they going to wait until Biden? Okay, so Lance, if they wait until Biden, then will it be 2,000 then? Or will it be 1,200? Or will it be 600? You know, I'm curious to find out, what do you guys think? Because it's unfortunate that us as citizens are actually talking about how much how much the American people should get in relief or aid, in the same light that there's not much talk about how much the corporations should get and how much the airlines should get and how much the PPP programs, like there's no real discussion on that. Those entities, that's portion of the economy will get billions, if not hundreds of millions. But yet when it comes to the people who used to keep those entities in business, you know, by going to restaurants, by flying on planes, by just doing all types of, you know, commerce with those institutions, we are the ones that should be in a much better position to deposit and to spend in those places. But unfortunately, the government has deemed them as too important to fail, while the American people, by the millions, can fail with no problem. And they're talking about how much is enough to get them through until when. And so 1,200 9 months ago, 600 or 2,000 now, literally, depending on what part of the country you're in, is only enough to get you through a week. And if you probably in the Midwest, you know, with no real responsibilities, you can probably stretch that 2,000 for a couple of weeks or a month. But your average person in this country has been very blessed and privileged to have created a lifestyle that requires a lot more than just a measly 2,000 or how many ever per person in the household, because of everything is more, unfortunately, probably financed for the majority. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, Mike? This is Miles from NY.
Miles from NY. How you doing, my man? What are your thoughts on the stimulus? 600, 2,000 or nothing? What you thinking?
Man, you know what? I would like to say nothing, but at this point, I honestly am leaning towards giving the people 2,000.
Yeah.
And the reason being for that is that a lot of these people, they weren't taught economics and finance from a long time ago. Yeah. It's not that everyone goes out and spends money on stupid stuff, but we've been dumbed down over generations, you know? So people really didn't have any way to prepare, you know? But what I would say is that what's up with all the manufacturing? I don't see anyone talking about providing manufacturing or any skills to these people.
Yeah.
You know, how are they going to transfer over? It's like, okay, look, you may give them the nipple right now to drink from, but what about in the long run? What are these people going to do, you know, after the 2,000 is gone, after the 600 is gone? It's going to be the same exact thing. I mean, if these people are going to be there, you know, and I say these people, I mean, everybody in the whole, you know, globally, they have to have something to where as though they're getting prepared to go into the next chapter. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's our manufacturing jobs? Where's all of that? Nobody's saying anything about any of that. And, you know, it's just amazing, you know, and being as though the situation we're in, you would think that people are at home at least getting provided with the skills. They're going to give free school and free this and free that, give people something that they could turn around and be productive citizens from. You know, not just sitting at home expecting and wanting from things. Also, Mike, I had a question, man.
Go ahead.
The relief going to these other foreign aids, is it because that these countries are buying our bonds, you know, and they know that is garbage, so that we're just trying to give them relief or aid to kind of like keep the narrative going with them, to sort of keep the dollar collapsing, because a lot of these countries buy our debt, you know, and I think that they're giving it to them so they would keep buying our debt and not just drop it, you know, and start getting out of it, which would cause our dollar to, you know, lose its value even faster. Because you got to think, you know, if all these countries are like, okay, look, this is happening, we don't want it, and we all of a sudden come out and say, okay, look, let's give them 100 million, 600 million, let them buy a couple of bags. Basically, we're just buying our own debt, you know, just keeping the charade going, keeping the curtain up, you know, keeping a belief going, which is all that we really have. Because once that's going, you know, it's nothing.
Right.
And like I was saying before, too, I think it's too little too late for the stimulus, and they're doing that because they of inflation. They don't want that money hitting the average man's pocket because he's going to spend, and we're not on lockdown. It didn't hit us before, and the CPI didn't increase. When I was saying inflation, I mean CPI, it didn't increase before because we were on lockdown. A lot of people were ordering stuff, mainly from Amazon and Walmart. So you didn't see that money in circulation. Right now, we're not on lockdown. They give that money, we're going out to mom and pop stores. And it will be 100% apparent at that time. So I think that they're either trying to wait for a lockdown, push it back, and they're dangling the carrot like that until they could get that going and get us in a situation where as though it won't cause that, because these are all factors that they're trying to fight. So I don't foresee them saying, okay, look, here's that, you know. But I don't want to take up all your time.
Appreciate you, man.
Keep doing what you're doing. One other thing, Mike, I need to tell you now. Always keep forgetting. Listen, if I don't believe the narrative. I don't believe that they're going to take it over. I don't believe anything, because if that was the case, that would mean God is a liar. And God ain't no lie. People are liars.
100.
He said that we're going to triumph and we're going to win it, you know. And there's going to be hard times. There's going to be famines and all that. But there's also going to be good times after that. You know, so that means that they can't win with what they're doing. They may get a little bit along the way, but they're going to fall. The tower will fall.
Appreciate
so don't worry about it. We got nation within a nation. All right, stay up.
Be good, my man. Yeah, man, some great thoughts there. And so I saw somebody, Solo, I think you're talking about the Discord channel. So I'll put the RTD Discord channel, which is like a forum that you guys can connect with us there. So I appreciate everybody contributing articles and whatnot there. So great points there, Miles. And so in regards to the millions and millions of funds provided to those countries, you know, a lot of those countries on the list, unfortunately, they're not big holders of our debt, I don't think. And so, of course, our biggest creditor, of course, is China, as well as, you know, Russia back in the day. So I think Pakistan and Israel and all the nations, they're not really, basically, they're not as our creditors. If they are, they're not really substantial, I don't think. So I think a lot of that stuff was to further, you know, special interests of the U.S. in those countries. And one of the things that I meant to pull up was that IMF, has been mentioning about trying to provide funds and loans to countries to further the narrative of destroying their own economies by pushing the COVID and the crises in those countries by locking down things, wearing masks, and all those agendas that we're all experiencing now. The IMF has been paying countries to promote those things, to help them absorb some of the financial blows. They've been giving funds. So I think a lot of what the U.S. was attempting to do was to provide funds to those countries to help plaster over or paper over some of their economic woes, because all of those countries listed, they don't have reserve currency. So everything that they do within a country in their own currency is also pegged or associated with the dollar, because all the debt usually comes from dollar terms. So I think a lot of the funds in those bills was designed to subsidize this current currency and monetary shift we're in. So they're basically just special interests in those countries, and also special interests as far as trying to buy weapons and things like that, stuff that Trump mentioned. So that's just my 2 cents there. But speaking of which, I think, Miles, you mentioned the other day about them being concerned with giving too much currency out because it would probably cause things to heat up. And then here is a little video snippet here from Larry Summers, which basically hinted at the same thing. And he was saying that it was basically foolish to give $2,000. And his concern was the fact that, you know, it could risk overheating the economy. So when we talk about overheating the economy, that's that inflation that the Federal Reserve can't seem to find. And so I think, and I would assume that the Federal Reserve, according to their measurements, they can't seem to find, 2% or whatever. Everything is always coming up short. And injecting $2,000 into people's hands would definitely, it would be spent more than likely than actually used to pay down debts or whatnot. And so it would probably show up, therefore giving the Fed that inflation that they want too soon. And I think the Fed, loves to play dumb in regards to telling the mainstream media that they can't find inflation, that they have to, keep interest rates low for a longer period of time now and begin more asset purchases to help, get this thing rolling more, to help expand the recovery, as they want to say. But in actuality, if they wanted to actually get that inflation right away, this 2000 right here definitely would help get them to where they're trying to go. But unfortunately, it's going to destroy the consumer purchasing power, but that's happening anyway. But done the Fed's way, or Jerome Powell begging Congress to come up with fiscal packages would help draw this thing out. So it wouldn't be right away. And I think 2000 definitely is too much, because it'll disrupt the Federal Reserve plans and the fact that they can't find inflation. And so let me see. It says Dr. Little John says, I'm putting 2K in the BTC. So that's the question, man. That is the $900 billion question. Out of that 900 billion, will the people get 2,000 or will they get that 600? And as of now, it's in stalemate. So nothing is coming as of now. And so I think if nothing is passed by the end of this year, literally we have a week and a half left, I think. So we have basically a week before January 1st. And if there's nothing signed, sealed, and delivered by January 1st, they will have to wait until after the election process completely rolls itself out. Therefore, that's a whole nother 30 days of destruction, as well as just complete desperation by the American people, which it's not going to fare too well come beginning of year, because that means all the things that were supposed to be extended, the moratoriums and the unemployment and stuff like that, and as well as those lending windows that the Federal Reserve did not want to close up. I think the Treasury officially, either within that documentation or separate from that documentation, they're closing up those windows. And so those windows closed make it very hard for the Federal Reserve to offer unlimited liquidity outright, even though I'm sure they're going to make sure the too big to fail banks will be more than okay. But we'll see. But anyway, enough ranting. Give me a call. Let's talk. King D says the Coward and the Piven plan laid out in 1970 lays this all out on why we started to have welfare. Look it up. All right, I definitely will do so. And so, I think without even being familiar with that outright, what's his name? Lyndon B. Johnson's Great Society was the beginning of the whole welfare, i.e. just government subsidizing all areas of the American family when it came to financial for education, for colleges, for the welfare game. Further than that, it gave them all types of governmental programs or whatnot. All that was leading up to this very moment here, where those programs are no longer sustainable because there's no tax revenue. So you're looking at a government that's already tapped out, running deficits, going to run even bigger deficit in the days ahead. The only thing they can do is now transition us from actual government programs into a new form of programs through utilizing the MMT model of directly going through the government in conjunction with the Federal Reserve, working in tandem now. There's no more the government borrowing and the Federal Reserve just directly monetizing it and then giving it back to the people. They're going to do all that in one. What else we got? It says 1964 Civil Rights Act did not give black folks the right to vote. That came in 1965. All right, Denzi, I'm not too familiar, so I appreciate you for sharing that. I donated $150 to the Salvation Army this year to help feed the homeless. Yeah, man, I'm seeing more and more articles and news stories about the amount of homelessness, worldwide. But yeah, of course, the mainstream media definitely loves to shine a light on it now, all in conjunction with the need for more stimulus. So all the doom and gloom type stories we hear from the mainstream media about how dire and desperate a lot of families are in this country is all tied into the mainstream's propaganda to encourage Congress to come together for some type of fiscal stimulus. And so think about this. If our country has been well groomed, with 9 months now of the population as well as all the businesses in the country to lean towards the government for funds, how do you wind that down? Like, at what point, if it was mathematically possible, how could the economy actually recover to being productive again at the same time that the working landscape has changed. Office buildings are hollowed out. I'm seeing articles about how companies have basically sold out and reneged upon their leases in all metropolitan areas because everyone's moving remotely. So 2021 will be a year of remote working solely. And so where does the productivity come from people being home working on computers? And we don't manufacture anything of substance in this country. So even the working from home remotely will have its day, because if you don't have people out there consuming products, then, where does our revenue come from? So there's lots of homeless everywhere in Los Angeles. Okay, let me get caught up in the chat here. And so I put out there, Mike, what's for Christmas dinner? To Christmas dinner, man, it's more the same thing we did today, man. We had a little bit of everything, but ham and you name it. It was a whole laid out spread. It was, a good time overall, having all the family together. And so, like Fauci mentioned about, the first time he canceled Christmas in 30 years. Do anybody actually believe he canceled Christmas? I don't think so. These people are here lying through their teeth, man. And also, I'm assuming you guys had to have seen Fauci, I think it's on CNN or CNBC or something like that, talking about the results of having got his jab. And social media was making a fool of him, saying that, he pointed at the wrong arm. And so they played him getting his jab in his left arm, but yet he was patting a soreness in his right arm. And so I'm thinking, like, the guy, is so full of hot air that he don't even know, doesn't remember which arm is supposed to be sore. So it's just interesting, man. But anyway, curious to find out what you guys think. Santa got the jab. Matt, how you doing, man? Appreciate you hanging out with us on the Facebook page. Fauci is the man of the year, according to Guardian. And it's the thing, like, the year is not over with. And what exactly has he done other than just he's been given a platform? Every mainstream company, every mainstream media source has given him the platform because he's supposed to be the doctor, the leading whatever he is of America. And that's a joke, man. That is a joke. What else we got here? Okay, so got some more articles here. Let me pull this up here. So as I was, as I mentioned, I was thumbing through Twitter earlier this week on the announcement of the $600 to each person. Of course, people were extremely upset and pissed, you name it. But then I just type in stimulus checks for $2,000, and the tone has changed, as if like that $2,000 provides more, I guess, cushion, more comfort. I don't know, but a lot of people here are happier at that $2,000 a mark. It says, I want to be a celebrity move. No, that's the wrong one. Let me see here. So there was a lot of people that was excited about that 2,000. Let's make it 4,000 stimulus check just to see if Rand Paul implodes. So a lot of people here seem to accept 2,000, but 600 is not enough. But then once again, if we get the 2,000, then what? Will it take another 9 months for the next two? So as of now, the American people are being groomed and being set up for continuation of the need for assistance from the government of some kind. Even the people who don't need it will definitely look forward to having it just so they can go buy, as one person mentioned, they're going to get 2,000 worth of BTC. So imagine, when it comes to the crypto space, a lot of people are going to go buy cryptos. A lot of people are going to put in a Robinhood app. Very few people, unfortunately. There's, with a show of hands here in the chat, I'm curious to find out, based upon what you prefer to accumulate as an appreciating asset throughout time, throughout this transition period, will it be even split up of, say, 1,000 here or 1,000 there? Or how will you divvy it up, your expenditures or your allocation of what you look to purchase with that 2,000, barring not actually using it for anything else? So low blood pressure says silver. So low blood pressure going to get as much silver as he can get. So low blood pressure. The question will be, will you get the generic rounds to get more bang for your buck? Or is there a particular item that you prefer to have for your own stash? Reggie says 1 ounce of gold. Okay. Banger Committee says, I'm buying BTC. Lance says, I brought silver and with the last one. Silver rounds, metal stocks, BTC. Half Ethereum, half Stellar. 1 ounce rounds. We got Matt says mostly precious metals, about 5% crypto. I buy Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, and food stocks. Okay. And so all in XRP, productive assets, Philharmonic, and Cougarans and Eagles. All right. So yeah, so it's interesting how the people who are awake and aware as to what's really going on already have plans for how to spend that, where unfortunately a good portion of people who are not here, unfortunately, are probably like, man, I'm going to get that PS5. I'm probably going to go, they're going to think about some of the most dumbest things to go spend that stuff on. And once they spend it, they don't have a chance of getting anything back of true value that will appreciate in time. And that's unfortunate. So the question is, like, how can I reach more people to really let them know that this is the transition? We're witnessing the transition, that as this rolls through think about this. And then I'm also curious to find out what you guys think about, what are you expecting, say December or Christmas time next year. That's another 12 months away. And a lot of things it's going to go down in 2021. I'm curious to find out, what are you guys anticipating being different this time next year as well. So feel free to let me know if you guys have some thoughts. And then also I'm hogging the mic because nobody's called in, or I've missed a lot of calls. So let me get to the phone lines. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's Pete from Colorado.
Pete from Colorado. How you doing, my friend?
I had a good answer to your one question, though.
Oh, go ahead. Give it to me. Which question is that?
How do we reach more people?
Yeah.
You know that the one reason why people don't listen
Why is that?
is that their political parties have become their religion. So if you identify yourself as opposite of them, you've lost your humanity. You're the force of evil that threatens to usher in a fiery demonic holocaust. So if you initiate any conversation establishing yourself as different, they'll shut off and not listen.
Good point.
You have to preserve your humanity in order to have a conversation. And if you set yourself as different, you've lost your humanity and you're on the force of evil.
Good point, man. So I gotta basically blend in. I gotta approach them neutral, or from their angle, find out what their angle is, and approach them from that viewpoint, and then try to shine some light from the way that they may want to see it, or the way they may be able to interpret it as something in their best interest.
In my dealings with people, instead of just, they're not listening, they're not interested, the best way to approach people is to ask them questions. Then you could figure out what their sources of news are, and then you could figure out what they believe without having the arguments. And if you maintain your humanity with them, you can talk.
Yeah.
But if you separate yourself in the beginning, you are literally the force of evil.
Yeah.
And anything you say will be pointless.
Good words of wisdom there, my friend. Good way of approaching that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
But here's the thing, though, Mike, is
Yeah.
that the devastating thing about this is it's so easy, and yet it's impossible, because everybody's been brainwashed since the day they were born. We send our kids to schools, like maybe we'll see them at dinner or on the weekends, maybe, but probably not, because we're all up right now on New Year's Eve instead of being with our family. Or Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, yeah.
No, but if we worked together and we stayed as a family unit, if we didn't send our kids off to government schools, if we didn't have to rely on the antiquated system of having a job, which is clearly collapsing, if we didn't put our old people in old folks' homes, and we actually stuck together, and we had a multi-generational plan and we didn't finance, crap that goes to $0.
Yeah.
If we worked as a team, as a family, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
If you have a goal that's longer than 6 months long, it's really discouraging to me that everybody's hopes are basically lottery tickets.
Yeah.
China thinks in terms of decades and a century from now. Europe and the United States thinks in terms of what can I do today?
Yeah. Very true, man.
So
good stuff.
We need to having a job is just, it's not going to work out in the end. You got to find another way. You got to change your life. It's an easy problem to solve if you have a longer term horizon and we can get generations of people to work together. Yeah.
Good point, man. And that's going to be it's easier said than actually relate to other people who, as you mentioned before, start off, we all start off being brainwashed. So a lot of people they'll hear it, but until they actually are back against the wall, have no other options, will they be able to open up aha, so I know what he's talking about now. Let me go do something different. So, yeah.
Get your kids out of the schools. Get your old folks out of the home. Don't just check them out for Christmas.
Yeah.
Have them watch your kids while you're at work.
Yeah.
It can be done. It's not impossible. It's not hopeless. If it's $600 or $2,000, if you really need the $600 or the $2,000, forget the $600 or the $2,000. That means I need to go back to the drawing board. Yeah. They only have so much power because we've let them, we've let us be tricked into a situation where we have to rely on them.
Right. Yeah.
The real truth is that the $600 or the $2,000 is a giveaway to me, because people will spend it, and I'll keep it.
Yeah. Hey, Pete, appreciate you, my man. It's always good to hear your insights, boss.
Hey, Mike, Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Merry Christmas to you, Pete. Appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you, Mike.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, man. Good stuff there, man. Great insights there as always, man. Pete from Colorado, always dropping some nuggets. Appreciate you. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How you doing?
LPP, how you doing, man? I'm doing good.
Hey, you cut out. You still there?
I'm still here. How you doing, man? What's going on with you, man? Merry Christmas.
Okay, Merry Christmas. I wanted to tell you that first of all. Look, check it out. Like I always think about hyperinflation and, things are going to get expensive and all this kind of stuff. Like, it's already here, Mike. When you have to work 30 years to pay a house, you have to work 5 years to pay a car, or even 9 years, some people. Look, a third of my house payment is taxes and insurance. A third of your car payment is insurance. I don't know how much more they could squeeze us, Mike.
Yeah. It's getting harder to drain. As my grandma used to say, it's hard to drain something out of a turnip. It's hard to drain something, a lot of people are tapped out and just barely hanging on, man.
It's silly, Mike. I go to the Walmart or to the, Sam's Club, $300, and I don't even have a cart full. I have like half a cart,
Yeah. Yeah, and so you're not the only one, man. A lot of people are being squeezed into a very tight situation now, and unfortunately, the inflation. I'm seeing more and more commentators talk about inflation, like from a consumer goods standpoint, is around the corner. So that basket, the substance of that basket, gonna get a lot smaller in the days ahead. So we're gonna be changing our diets.
Yeah, we're going to be losing some weight. We're going to get our weight down,
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah. It's just, the best comparison I heard, there was a guy, I'm not sure who they talked. Maybe it was Mike Maloney. He's always talking about his father. He worked at, I think, an auto parts or something like that. I don't know. But anyways, he's always saying how one person, one household income, You know, one person working was enough for a family.
Yeah.
And he also makes the comparison of a wage, yearly wage versus new car, and also yearly wage versus the purchase of the average home.
Yeah.
You know, in the 60s and 50s,
yeah,
a lot different than now, you know?
Yeah, night and day. And so, and that's the thing, like a lot of people don't realize how much purchasing power has really been lost when you compare yesteryears of our grandparents to today. Like, you know, we're working harder, longer, smarter, stronger, but the currency, what we use to sustain our lives, is the problem. You know, it's not going as far as it used to go. So yeah, and it's
And what makes me even crazier is like building materials for a house. Excuse me. You would think that it would go down and purchase comparison. You know, they like sheetrock and wood because we have now innovation, and innovation is supposed to make things cheaper, not more expensive. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Because they're shooting out that wood. You know, they got machines. Before they'd have to like cut the logs and do everything manually. Now it's all machinery, and things are not getting any cheaper.
Yeah, very true, man. Well, hey, LBP, man, I appreciate you, my friend. It's always good to hear your voice, and I want you and the family to have a Merry Christmas, my friend. Hopefully Santa's good to you.
Hey, you too, man. It was 80 degrees yesterday here, but today is colder, but yesterday was hot. I don't know how cold it is up there, though.
It's cold. It's no snow, but it's cold. You didn't want to go outside without a jacket on, so that's Michigan for you, man. Appreciate you, my friend.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, be good. Yeah, man, good stuff. Good stuff. Always good to hear from LBP. And it's LBP. Speaking of which, I like literally just saw an article, and I saw Corpus Christi on it, so I thought I would grab it. But it looks like, I'm not sure whatever county this is, health district workers get the vaccine, prepare for vaccine drive-throughs. And so it looks like down in Corpus Christi, they're going to have drive up to a little bit of a teller window type of situation, and you can get the jab in your car. So they're making it available for those down in Corpus Christi, man. So yeah, the idea of getting jabbed in your arm in your car. Yeah, I'm not quite sure how that's going to go, but yeah, the biggest thing I think between now and further into 2021 is to try to shine more light from an opposing viewpoint on the need for a vaccine when you have so many other alternatives out there. And it's unfortunate that I saw a medical study today. I think it was out of Australia, and I'm not sure which vaccine they were talking about, but they said that the effectiveness of that vaccine, or probably the vaccines in general, is only good for 8 months. So think about this for everybody, because as of right now, as one caller mentioned, and I appreciate him for sharing the fact that the vaccines as they are now, they've been authorized for emergency use, and they have not yet been approved for mass distribution officially yet. And so I'm not sure what the time gap might be in between that. But right now, everything is being rolled out as emergency use vaccines. Therefore, it's like literally like this emergency use is literally the first test run, in a sense, as to how the masses will respond to these vaccines. So between now and the time the summertime rolls out, when the mass approval might be out, we're going to have a chance to see what the response has been. But it's only good for 8 months. So think about the people who are getting jabbed now in December, January, frontline workers or whoever. So I seen the article today saying so far 1 million people in this country have been jabbed, probably with the first go around, obviously. And so by the middle of January, people will be either going back for that second jab, or we'll have more stories from the alternative media realm as to how bad the first jab was and the adverse reactions and the side effects within that 21-day window, to where a lot of people may not be going back for that second jab, which would then give us more of a stance to say that, that's not necessary. We're not taking that stuff. It's not good for us. Well, I'll take some hydrochloroquine, even though I saw, I think it was in China. I saw an article or heard somebody talking about how it's very mysterious how a hydrocortisone, hydrochloroquine warehouse facility that makes it burnt up or something like that. So I'm thinking like, Yeah. Okay. So that's definitely going to put a hindrance in hydrochlorous. You know what I'm trying to say? Actually, get out there. Anyway, man. Let's keep it moving. All right. Says, don't get that Fauci. Take your manhood. Yeah, man. These guys are something else. Get the jab on wheels. Does anyone ever listen to Uneducated Economist channel? Luke, I have caught him a couple of times. I don't get a chance to catch him frequently. And speaking of which, I'm not sure why I haven't reached out to him and get him on the show yet, so I will definitely do that. What else we got here? It says Christopher Green, butthurt by SEC invasion into RXP, actually tweeting about ETH being listed from Coinbase. He deleted that tweet. Crypto King. So, so as I start off tonight talking about how with the XRP situation, there's 6-7 years in the making. I think XRP was probably 2013, I think, or around that time frame, to actually come out and try to show that they are a private security or whatever. I think it's more so just like it's getting hard to create these false narratives that cause major dips in the market. So the only thing you can really do is take it to that level of getting the SEC involved with threatening XRP or Ripple, whatever foundation, to try to drive other weak hands out of other currencies. But I think at this current moment, the momentum is too strong for governments and regulatory bodies to really shake people out because of how fast global economies are crumbling. Like, currencies right now, they have officially been weaponized, and they're putting currency and they're trying to shoot currency to everything they can. So anybody in the right frame of mind realize that you can't park a large amount of funds in a bank or any other financial product for too long because of the risk. The risk has grown systemic. That I'm really anticipating some type of banking contagion in the next couple of weeks, man. Just because, especially if the stimulus bill continues to reach a stalemate to where nothing is signed, all those losses from people not paying back bills, business closures, all that defaults, foreclosures, that all falls back on the banks. And the Federal Reserve, it's only so much they'll be willing to do outright before they're going to have to get involved at a much higher level than they have in the past. So I think it will be something interesting. Mike, did you get a chance to check out American Tradition? So I did check out his channel, and I actually went on Facebook, I think, to try to find an email. And so I did not find an email, I don't think. But I did get a chance to check out that video that the caller shared with us. So I will definitely keep that open. I got to see if he's on Instagram as well. I didn't bother to see if he was or wasn't. Educated comments on George Gammy. Yeah, I saw that one. ETH only for me. XRP and ETH. All right, people, take one more call, then we'll get ready to dial back until tomorrow, Lord willing. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
San Diego, Mike. This is William Birkenroad.
William, how you doing, my friend? What's your thoughts on the stimulus stuff or whatever else?
Yes, sir. Wow, what a game they've been playing on us. It seems like. Yeah. But one of the reasons I wanted to call in is exactly in that sort of framework where I look at it more as if it's all a strategy, and the reality, the day-to-day reality is really what, let's say, is intended. Now, I don't intend those things, but it's intended. Yeah. Not a fog of war. So what I'm trying to say is that this 9-month delay, while they planned a bogus $900 billion stimulus package for U.S. interests in other countries, I think you said that correctly. But the initiation of that strategy, leaving 16% or $600 per person, I guess, 16% for the actual U.S. public, when the rest of the world, let's say the Western world, England, UK countries, Australia, European countries, Germany, they all provided the monthly income as if COVID was their fault. They shut it down, and so they're providing the money monthly. That's what we need. And Americans are not Don't you believe that the educational level of money and currency and knowledge amongst American young, and I won't say against young, I'm just saying in general, even college-educated professors seem to have a different take than I do.
Yeah, very true. And that's the thing. Like, so only in the U.S., and I'm sure that has something to do with the fact that, as Larry Summers mentioned about, handing out $2,000 would definitely cause the economy to overheat. Therefore, I think they don't want to actually, they want this thing to draw a little bit longer, buying them time for the transition into the digital world. So I think they literally want to give people crumbs just to try to get through. But to do a monthly allocation of $2,000, like some other countries are doing, that right there would be that'd probably be jumping the gun too soon for them, because that's providing too much support for the people.
Possibly, but if you take on the idea that it's a strategy, then what I'm thinking is they're waiting for the general public in the United States that has lost, let's say 50% of private business has lost their restaurants and so forth, and then real estate, commercial real estate, the major rich players aren't paying, like you said. They're not paying their commercial leases. This is all extend and pretend again from way back. But what I'm thinking is that they're going to wait till we're begging. We're actually begging for the very fact that what I don't like about the YouTube financial experts is that they always say things like, oh, this money is just printed out of thin air. No. As a diversified risk consultant, series 6 and 63, I really beg to differ, and I'm appreciative of the fact that I can speak with you, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead. Shine some light on it, man.
Yes, I think that the reality is if you finish the sentence, then this money is being created. And you notice that every presidential term creates a double amount, like every time, like double amount of debt.
Yeah.
And this debt is no joke. This is called bonds. Do you know that when fascism erupts in a government where the business entities and the government are in together, including the Federal Reserve and the Treasury possibly, being in direct communication with each other, not independent, like Biden's promises. They're together on this now, in which fascism creates this currency through debt in our structural law. Since 1913, we're living by laws from 106 years old. How many laws do you want to live by that are 106 years old when we've gotten a lot more information now, don't you believe?
Yeah, I do agree. I agree. So the goal will be, so that has a lot to do with government, the growth of government, like the fact that our government continues to grow.
Yes.
Every natural occurrence or natural event, we got 9/11, we got all these events that occur, the government grows. More regulation, more entities, more this and that, more debt.
Yes, I agree. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just saying, that's the size of government. The bigger the government grows, the more debt, and it just literally compounds on itself. So, like, literally, compounding debt is the only thing that can keep this thing going.
Is the opposite of abundance, which is then creating what is really being created out of this reality is a strategy of poverty. And I could tell you why, but I don't want to get into philosophy tonight. This is good. I'm glad to talk to you. I have a lot on my mind, but you have to finish the sentence on things.
Yeah.
What's happening is that the government, the U.S. people, they're non-existing money, because money is created through debt in this country and then multiplied, just like they did in front of our faces with Mnuchin bragging about how, well, they got $2 trillion, but it actually turned into 6. Do you realize $4 trillion was leverage? See, I understand leverage from my investment process in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
Leverage is different than just creating margin where you have debt and you leverage your own capital. No, you want to leverage the other players' capital in this investment world and take the other people's excess leverage at a loss.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the game. I'm sorry. And I play it very well because I go long, though I've just opened up the ability to go to level 2 on bonds so that I can go short on specific equities on long-term duration shorts. But I don't really get into that. I'm an expert on dividends, which means I get a check a month from my capital going to work. Now, I don't put people to work. I don't put slaves to work, you know?
Yeah, you put your money to work.
Capital to work. And then Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to talk to you again anytime, Mike. But
For sure.
I really enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate you calling in, man. Yeah, shoot me an email, man. I'm curious to find out more of that, because I remember you calling in before, sharing some of that information about.
I know. I want to share something with you specifically because I think you've got the capability to be a leader, which means that someone who can be trusted, essentially, with the capital. Because yes, I do. But look at Mike. It's impossible for me to reach you. Every time I've tried on your site, I don't really contact you. And when I did send you an email, I didn't get a response. So I don't think you're seeing that one.
Okay, so I had some issues glitches there, but shoot me another one because I forwarded to a different email address and I didn't know for a month that my stuff wasn't connected.
No worries. You're working.
But shoot me an email, man, and I'll definitely get back with you. So I appreciate you for sharing your insights, man.
Yeah, you could be a leader in something that is non-capitalistic. It does make value, money or cut gold and silver out of the whole mess, or land.
Well, hey, I'm interested in learning and expanding my educational RAM. So definitely hit me up, my friend. I appreciate you.
Oh no, you have a lot of knowledge, Mike. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a Merry Christmas. Yeah, be good.
You too.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. Great insights there, man. So it's always good to connect with the community, man, and have people share their insights. So that's the whole point of a talk show, to have somebody to talk to and definitely provide you guys with a chance to share your voice. And so that's what I enjoy most about RTD Live Talk. It gives you guys a chance to let your voice be heard. A lot of smart individuals out there, man. So I appreciate you guys for chiming in and going from there. But with that being the case, it is time to wind it down. I appreciate everybody for hanging out with me tonight, especially those that hung out in the chat and got a chance to go back and forth. And for those, as I mentioned, I put out in the chat the Discord link, which is basically, it's like an open forum, but a little bit more high tech. And so beneath this video here, at the social media tab, you'll see everywhere that RTD is located at. So that if you're involved in any of these platforms here, go connect, go subscribe. And then right here is the Discord. So click that link there, set up an account, and you can share articles, and we can have a little after party there, because a lot of people, I connect with people there. So feel free to do that. And also make sure you guys go to the RTD blog. I try to share articles there throughout the day. So trying to expand my knowledge base here by keeping you guys up to date. So all types of information can be found here if you guys are interested. So other than that, that is all she wrote for tonight. It's been great hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and let's do it again. Another day, different day. Be blessed. Peace. Hey there, sorry for this interruption, but I wanted to bring something to your attention. If you've been enjoying this live stream, why don't you partner with me and be a support to the channel via Patreon membership for just a minimum of $5 a month. All you have to do is scroll down beneath this video here, click the Patreon link, then consider donating as little as $5 a month towards the channel. A little bit of crumbs can go a long way, and I appreciate your support. Now, let's get back to this live stream.